Welcome back folks, my name is LastKnownMeal and today we're gonna be talking about Microsoft Xbox and the latest acquisition of Activision Blizzard. So if you're not following the news, basically 2 days ago Microsoft actually bought Activision Blizzard for $68.7 billion. This is the largest acquisition in the history of gaming, and the previous record was also set by Microsoft when they spent $7 billion for ZeniMax, which also included Bethesda and all of their studios. So of course, when Microsoft starts buying studios left and right, and not just any studios, but the biggest studios in the world when it comes to gaming, a lot of people now started talking about monopoly and if Microsoft is heading towards that monopoly. Now, keep in mind one thing. Every company in the world, regardless if it's Microsoft, Sony or whatever, wants to have the highest market dominance they can. That means if the actual global gaming market is worth at 173.70 billion in 2021, a company wants the biggest piece of that cake, which means having the biggest dominance. So of course, Microsoft buying all of those studios is, heading towards some sort of monopoly. But at the same time, Sony or any other company would be doing that, and Sony and other companies were doing it before. It's nothing new, it's nothing strange. Companies do that because they're profit-oriented companies and they want the biggest profit. Now, of course, any monopoly is not good. The reason why, for example, Xbox is doing all of these things is because Sony had and still has in some areas a high market dominance when it comes to video games, especially because they make more money throughout the year selling consoles, and also they profit more off of their games than Microsoft does. So automatically you can see this acquisition is basically playing the long game. And that's what Xbox is doing. They're playing the long game, and they can do that because Microsoft is worth in trillions and Sony is not. So Microsoft can actually use this time to buy out all of the studios and basically eliminate competition so they can do their projects in quiet. But again, it's not something that Sony or any other company doesn't already do. So let's just get that out of the way immediately, thinking that one company is saint and the other is not. At the end of the day, it's always good for the end user if two companies are going off on each other. That means they lower the prices and they have to release better games in a sense in order to fight that competition. So of course, it wouldn't be good if Microsoft now has everything, because if there is no one to challenge them, what's gonna happen then? Because that's why this whole fight between Sony and Microsoft is going, one generation Microsoft wins, another generation Sony wins, another generation Xbox wins, because they try to increase their market dominance, and what happens is that if they increase it too much and they think they don't have competition, they get lazy. So ultimately, as I said, monopoly is not always good. Now, when it comes to the global gaming market, as I said, it's worth 173 billion in 2021, and it's expected to reach a value of 314 billion by 2027, with the compound annual growth rate of 9.64% from 2022 to 2027. That is a lot of money. Basically, this is going to double in 5 years. So of course, Microsoft is going to be playing that long game, because they know if they have 30 studios under them, they know that they can use all of those IPs to go into Gamepass. It's going to be interesting to see if their subscription, based model service actually holds out. Now, they have passed 25 million subscribers. So we shall see in the future if those, for example, number of people who subscribe, because I'm sure they want 50 million, if it's going to be enough to hold out their sales and to make them profit off of it. Because if this doesn't turn profit for them, Microsoft will have to change their strategy again, and the Game Pass will fail. But at the same time, so far, Game Pass has been doing wonders, but it can only be done because Microsoft has huge amounts of money. They can offer you a library, which can be, something that is going to potentially attract you. That's something, sadly, Sony cannot do, and people don't realize that. All of these things, like day one games on Gamepass, which are, being released by Microsoft Studios, etc., etc., all of those things require a sacrifice somewhere else. Now, I know people want from Sony to have the same thing, but it's impossible. Number one, Sony doesn't have enough titles on PlayStation 5 or PlayStation 4 to push it so much to have that same model which Xbox sadly, has. Now, when it comes to, for example, day one games, they cannot do that because they would lose money. They need to profit from selling their game in order to make different games. That's sadly what this is. So, of course, when Sony started an active campaign against Microsoft to increase their market dominance, I think Microsoft took that personally. So now, what they're basically doing is buying everything around you so you cannot do anything. They leave you paralyzed without games, because at the end of the day, this box right here or this thing right here does not matter if you don't have good games to play on it. Now, so far, the value Microsoft has been providing is grand. It truly is. If I have Game Pass, if I can play a bunch of games basically for free, or well, not for free, for a subscription service that I pay monthly, and they basically update it with amazing games that I would definitely play, not just some random games now and then, it becomes a very, very attractive thing to invest in. So of course, that Microsoft is going to take the biggest piece of the pie because they have the biggest amount of money out of any one of those studios. And they're able to do it. And that's, I believe, what is going to happen, same as Disney basically now owns everything. I do believe that Microsoft is going to be going heavily into that. And I'm sure that Activision Blizzard is not the last studio they will buy. So now people wonder, how is Sony going to counter this? Well, it's very difficult. One of the biggest things obviously is to have good games. But at the same time now, Microsoft is a dangerous opponent because they have a bunch of studios and IPs that can be utilized a lot. And not just that, but also those games make a lot of money. Like for example, just the Candy Crush they actually acquired along with Blizzard. Candy Crush makes about $1 billion per year. Like in traffic, it's like $1 billion game yearly. It's a lot of money. So of course, when people say like, how are they going to pay that out? It's a long game. Like they're playing for the next 10 years. And also you're not going to see like the fruits of this purchase for at least 3-4 years. Just right now you're going to see like, Bethesda and ZeniMax and everything they acquired from there like kind of come to fruition, and they start pumping out games for Xbox. But Activision Blizzard, that's going to take a long time, and they said it that the actual acquisition is gonna be done at the end of 2023, but I'm also sure that during those times we're probably going to get some of those games on Game Pass as they finalize some deals, or well, they finish some parts of the actual transition of the company. So of course there is monopoly. It's just how businesses are. And it's strange that people only woke up to it right now, and it's like everything before this, everything that Sony or whatever company was doing, that was okay. But now when they actually see a company which is capable of buying out one of the biggest studios, it's like, oh, things are not looking well. Well, that's just how it is in business, sadly. Now, of course, if Microsoft's strategy fails, then, Sony will come out on top. But even then, if their strategy fails, Microsoft still has a lot of studios. But the most important thing now is if you utilize them correctly, if there is going to be actual change. Now, both Activision and ZeniMax were not really two companies which were doing great. As I said, they were two ships without any destination whatsoever. They were just sailing around, trying to get more people in it, but at the same time, they still make a lot of money. Activision, it ruined its IPs, but at the same time, Activision is just making too much money. Just from as I said, Candy Crush Saga, they make billions, so it's like, who are we kidding here? So that's my opinion on this topic. Hopefully now people realize a little bit more what is going on. There is a giant shift in this industry happening right now. Like in front of your eyes, there is a giant shift in this industry. Because if Microsoft changes how we consume games in terms of actually removing like the digital sales and actually having like subscription-based service, it will be interesting to see how profitable that is, how happy people are with those services, and if that is going to push different companies do the same thing. Now, of course, having a physical copy or a digital, even though it's digital, is always best than not having, you know, a game or a subscription model like you do with Game Pass, but at the same time, you're not going to buy every game you play on Game Pass. So, in a nutshell, if you really like a game from Game Pass, you're going to buy it later on. So it's like everything has its plus and minuses. And of course we can stop with a little copium of them removing like MTX and all of that. Of course not, like MTX and everything else is going to stay because, again, as I said, they have to bring that money back. So if you look at, like, for example, Xbox games now, they also have those microtransactions, so those things are not going to stop. Are you going to get better value? Yes, but there has to be something which has to be sacrificed, and there has to be something where this thing is going to break in order for you to have something so valuable. And I'm also pretty sure that the price of Game Pass is going to go up in the future. It happened with Netflix, it's gonna happen with everything now. We shall see how are they going to back it up. But so far, yeah, Microsoft is getting extremely dangerous, and they are going to have the future if they continue like this. They are going to actually own gaming in the future. It's just how it is. But that's just business, and that's just how things are. In a perfect world, you would have all of the games on every platform, but we don't live in a perfect world, and we have to be realistic before we can dream about some random things. Alright, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button if you enjoyed this video, and also don't forget to tell me down below what do you think about all of this. I'm very interested in hearing your opinions. Also check us out on Twitter and Discord if you want to continue the discussion there, and also huge thanks to my current Patreon supporters. This is LKM signing out. Stay classy everyone, and bye bye.